Here we go. Jody,
Sir,
we're live.
what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. We got a treat for you. But before we get to that, we got some things to get out the way. I'll go first. Make sure you always hit and like the subscribe button.
Hey, let me tell you, that is correct. And I'm in the process of right now, as we speak, quickly modifying the details of this video so that for sure when you log in here, you can see the link to Jody's channel and you can see the link to our special guest who is coming right away.
Yes.
He should be here any second. You guys all know who I'm talking about.
Well, before he comes in, let's go ahead and get everything out the way because there was one match this weekend that both you and I really had our eyes glued to. Michael Todd, Robbie Topi, your thoughts?
Oh, I think we should wait on that one for Pradeep because I think he's got a bit of skin in the game here. Like he made a pretty bold prediction on this one.
Okay.
And he might have something to say about it.
Well, that's good because you have a match with Michael Todd coming up next month. I have a match with Robbie Topi coming up in June. So that will be very interesting to see what he has to say.
Yeah. And I just want to throw it out there. Anyone else think that maybe I'll wait for this comment until he gets here as well, because I got so many things to say about this match. We got the arm wrestling opinion is here. Mike Dumas in the chat. All right, we have all the details worked out. Everything is good now. The stream is live. All we're doing is waiting on our special guests. So why don't we just take questions from the chat while we're waiting on them?
I got coffee in one hand, Gatorade in the other. I'm ready to roll.
That's excellent, man. Oh, never mind. The man is here.
Let's do it.
Now, let's keep in mind that he is connecting from the other side of the planet. So
yes,
it is what it is.
Awesome guest, though. Awesome guest. And I'm telling you right now, these arm wrestling events are just going to keep getting better and better.
Hey, you know what? What impressed me is that Michael Todd can run an event from his gym and have better sound and video quality than some of the larger promotions that we've seen recently.
Talking about the East versus West type deal?
The East versus West, I thought the sound quality was atrocious. Like it was all over the place. You turn it up for one guy, then you got to turn it down for the next guy because it's blasting in your ears. The Paul Italia Travis Bajent match card they had, the sound on that was terrible, simply because every time the crowd did anything, it just was feedback throughout the whole thing. Like it was one of those ones where you had to turn everything down just to oh, the man is here. Still says he's joining.
Did someone mute that event and didn't forgot to push unmute or something, or what was going on? Because you heard everything, and I'm sorry, but there are times I like to hear the sound, the reaction of the crowd when I see a match, and all of a sudden it just went like this, and then that was it. I'm like, wow, really? I'm just gonna I can hit my own mute button if I wanted to.
Well, I mean, you have the option. So many other people jump over to other channels to see the commentary from that they're doing. We got Billy Berg in the chat as usual. Sweden arm wrestling. How are you doing, man?
Yes, Sweden's in the house. What's going on? Billy Berg, how you doing?
Billy's asking me how I'm healing up. Well, pretty good. Pretty good. I feel pretty good, pretty confident. There's going to be some trouble coming to Vegas.
Is Billy Berg still wanting that match? I'm just curious. Just curious.
We'll see what he says. I don't know.
I know he asked me a while ago, so feel free, BB, to.
Well, I'm checking on Pradeep because he's been connecting and now all of a sudden he's not anymore.
Uh-oh.
I think he's trying to reconnect.
We could talk about one match.
Let's do it.
What match do you want to talk about then? You want to talk about the Underwood match or you want to say the Paul Lynn match and Ron Bath for later or what?
Well, what the hell? Let's talk about Michael Todd.
Let's do it. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. So he's having some issues. So I'm going to send him the invite link one more time.
And everybody's watching live. It's okay. Technical difficulties. So I will do my best to keep you guys entertained while we fix that. So I'm going to say this. For those that did not get the pay-per-view, you missed a lot. Here's the deal. Michael Todd, okay? He had the undercard, right, which was live, okay? Then after that was all said and done, you had a 30-minute break, and all of a sudden the pay-per-view happened for members only. And it was weird because I'm already a member, and yet when I'm on the live stream, it was just, hey, thanks for becoming a member. Thanks for becoming a member. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm telling you, that production with commercials and everything was pretty cool. And I like the way Michael did that because you had Michael on the set. Rebecca Todd was doing the live chat. Then you had Don Underwood on the mic, you know, and that was awesome because, and then when Don had his match for BJ Fakakis, then you had Corey West on there. So I thought that was pretty cool that they had the, you know, the commentators. That was good because you had a play-by-play and you had a color commentary, and that was pretty cool. And I like that. You don't really see that a whole lot. So,
yeah, we do have some questions coming in while we're waiting.
Yes, let's do that.
Well, Mike Dumas says, where do you think Wagner stands with the Greek? I assume he means the Italian, and Hermes Gasparini, as they do have that left-handed match coming up.
What day is that again?
I don't know. It got changed a couple of times, I think.
Right. I know, honestly, I don't know about how you feel, Ryan, but it seems like when matches get postponed time and time again, I kind of lose a little bit of interest, you know?
Yeah, I think Wagner's going to, well, I don't know, man. I don't know where Hermes stands with his left arm at all.
Well, that's Wagner's wheelhouse, isn't it? Left hand?
Yeah, it is. And it's a little weird because we haven't seen Wagner pull since he got beat by Devin in a high-profile match, at least.
You know, why does that match bother me so much? That match with Devin, you talking about the one in WAL?
Yes.
That match bothered me. And I'll tell you why. And this is no disrespect to those pullers, but it just seemed like it was like, okay, Wagner's, you know, rah, 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 shaking the table, you know, that kind of thing. And, you know, Devin, it was more like, let's just have fun with it. You know, it kind of took some of the steam out of it, where it seemed like every match on that card was serious except for that one. That's how I felt.
Yeah. Carl Stanley's in the chat asking, has anything changed on how you're planning to attack Topi?
I saw some holes, you know, I'm sure Robbie's going to fix that. But first things first, Carl, Mr. Topi has a date with Mr. Paul Passmore next month at Arizona State Championships, the weekend of April 23rd. So I know Paul was watching. I was watching. I see some holes. I have a good idea what I want to do. Of course, no one's picking me to win, which is fine because that's just one less thing I have to worry about. No pressure on my end. So with that being said, I have a game plan. And what I saw this past weekend kind of went, oh, okay, there's another area I can probably attack. So that's how we're going to do that. And Carl Stanley should know, because when Carl and Topi pulled at Nevada State's 2020, I believe, 2020, and they had a match. And Carl, I was watching your match and you were all in. The difference was when your wrist is like this and you're in the strap, it's all right he can pull you back like that and come this way. Whereas Michael Todd was coming in like this, and he did it so quick and so fast. It's hard to attack that. Now, match one, are we going to talk about the match now or no?
Sure, let's talk about it.
So match one, and we all knew Michael Tyler is a whole lot different puller than he is on the right and the left. So he's setting up like, I don't know if everybody I'm going to raise my chair so y'all can see if I can raise my chair. Okay, so here it is. If you look at Michael, he's all in. You know where he's going. He's all in like this. And as soon as the ref says go, bam, that's it. Right. So now Toby's like, okay. And if you watch the match number 2, it seemed like Robbie repositioned himself to catch that and bust his hand back. So Robbie is strong enough, wrist and hand, was able to bust it back a couple of times. Only problem is that he came off the elbow pad. Ooh, we have a guest.
We'll see. We'll see if it connects him now, because we were in this position once before.
Until I see a face, I'm gonna continue what I was saying.
Okay.
To answer Carl Stanley's, I do have a game plan. I hope it works. I know my matchup with Robbie's not until June, so I got, and what's today? March 21st, and our match is June 11th. So I got nothing but time. And honestly, I'm just focusing squarely on him, So I got so much going on, as far as other stuff. I mean, I got training obviously for Robbie. My daughter's graduating college this May, so I got a lot going on. But once all that is come and gone, then I'm thinking I'm ready to get after some stuff. So, but yeah, Carl, to answer your question, I think if I'm going to do that, I don't want to be here. I want to be more here as far as a press move.
Two things, a couple of observations. One of them is Michael Todd has a move on his right and a move on his left that are both extremely challenging to deal with. Mm-hmm. And they're both very different. So his right arm, of course, he has the King's move where, it's a pain in the ass to deal with. On the left arm, he's got that shoulder roll, that Dave Randall-like shoulder roll that is extremely hard to deal with, especially on a WAF table, which is what they were on.
Yep.
A 7x7 pad, where Robbie looked like he was stronger, but couldn't keep that forward motion from pushing him off the back of the pad.
Right.
So as much of a challenge as it was, I mean, you got to stop Michael from initiating the whole move. Oh no, we lost him again. Damn it.
Ouch.
Anyway, as it goes, I saw the first match and I saw Michael just slam into him, and I thought,
yeah, what were your thoughts? That's something you got to deal with, possibly.
I know it's there's some challenges in the setup, but I also think that I'm not going to try to just kind of play catch with back pressure. I mean, it's something that okay, he's rebooting again. It's something that is going to be a challenge to stop that shoulder roll. I do think I have a lot more tools in that particular area to stop them than Robbie does. And I'm just going to throw it out there because I said this to you before the match. I thought Robbie looked a little bit smaller than he normally is when he was coming into that match. And when I first saw them do their promo video, I said he looked small. Now, I hope Robbie doesn't take that the wrong way. Michael doesn't take like I'm trying to make light of it. But what I thought was, this could be a long day for Robbie because Michael came in there full guns. And I hope Michael doesn't get too confident because he even corrected me on a post I made this morning. I said, I'm going to put your left arm in perspective. And he didn't like that because, he thinks he belongs in the top 5 and maybe he does, but.
Well, here's the honest thing, my opinion, and everyone's probably going to jump on me for saying this, but I wouldn't take that one match with Robbie and think, okay, Todd is the man. I'm not going to say that quite yet. I think he needs a few more matches under his belt left-handed. But I will say this, though. I think any kind of motivation that Michael Todd gets makes him that much more dangerous because let's be real. He's coming off 2 matches where he lost. Like, he didn't pick up a win. Like, when he pulled Devin, he didn't get a win, I don't believe. when he pulled Gennady, I don't think he got a win. So that in itself is like crap. You know, he needs to get back on the winning streak. So the fact that, you know, the way he beat Robbie and so dominant, I think he needed that. Now, is all that going to refer to where, okay, now in his mind, I'm ready to do this now because, and like I said, when I say these things, this is no disrespect to people. Robbie Topi is not Ryan Espy. Let's get that straight, you know? So the credentials you got on your left in comparison to what Robbie has, and even Michael for that matter, vastly different.
Yeah, Kenny Ferguson says in the chat that Robbie wasn't 100%. I never heard that going into that match. Never heard that, but I'm curious to know more about it. But not that it matters. I mean, the match happened and Michael won, and accolades could come with it. He has now moved way up the rankings in the left arm. I think jumped Corey West, moved all the way to 5th. And they were chatting about how he could jump Corey without ever having to pull him. And then he was kind of joking around about only pulling up now and won't give Corey the match, which I thought was pretty clever.
Well, that goes back to that Corey Derek thing, which we won't even touch on that anymore. I think we kind of exhausted that situation. But, you know, yeah, I mean, Kenny kind of told me in private about, hey, you know, Robbie wasn't feeling his best. I hope he's feeling his best when he pulls Passmore next month because, like I said, I know a lot of us had a lot of insight on these matches for, you know, reasons. You watch the match because you're focused on what Michael does. I'm watching the match because I'm focused on what Robbie does, and it's going to be interesting, you know? Is our guest not coming in?
He is coming. He's working on stuff. He
Right.
had to reboot his whole system. So
Gotcha.
he's working on it.
So I will say I had egg on my face, though.
How so?
This is because Ron Bath and Paul Lynn.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I won money on that match.
Really?
I did. Mike Dumas, who has the longer levers between you and Michael, I believe it's me. But yeah, I actually, my brother-in-law was sitting there and he's like, well, Ron's going to take this one. And I said, I'll bet I'll put some money on it. And he said, okay, you're on. And I said, what's going to happen is this: Ron's going to win the first one, possibly the second one, and then Paul's going to take all the rest. That's exactly what happened.
When wasn't it 3-1 Paul won?
It was. Ron won match number 1, and then Paul took the next 3.
Yeah, I think that situation when Paul like got on his arm and he just stayed there, and I think he got it. Like, okay, if I got Ron here, the worst thing I could do is try to come up and then surge again, because as soon as you come up, you know, those veteran arm wrestlers, when you come up and they feel that, they're going to take you over that way. And now you got to work twice as hard to get back to 12 o'clock before you go to 9 o'clock, right? If that makes sense. So on the head, you know, Paul did this and he got it. He just stood there, you know. We're going to see if I'm going to die on my sword, I'm going to die like this instead of like that. So he did that, wore him out, and finally the bicep just gave. Not in like injury, but just it got to a point like, okay, you got me, right? I think Paul found a formula, and when he did that, he just put the pedal to the metal and didn't let go. And kudos to him for that.
Yeah. Carl Stanley says, Ryan, if I beat Corey West next month, let me get a match with you in the future. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, for those of you who don't know, though, I got Michael on April 9th and then Corey on May 21st in Texas.
And who's Carl pulling? Doesn't he have a big match coming up too?
So he's pulling Corey West next month.
So let me get this straight. You got 4 guys pulling each other, right? So you're pulling you're pulling the whole state of Arkansas pretty soon, because you're pulling Michael Todd, then you're pulling Corey. Carl Stanley's pulling Corey. And I think that's isn't that next month also?
Yes, it is.
Isn't he pulling Corey next month?
Yep.
So that must be Louisiana State. So he has that match over there, and then he's saying, okay, now you're pulling Corey in May, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so if Corey's pulling Carl next month, are you going to be just as invested at that match as you were with Robbie and Michael?
100%. Absolutely, okay. I will.
And there you have it. And I like that because one match will set the tone for another match and then another. You see how that works out? It's kind of like coming all together if you think about it. You know what I mean?
Holy cow. Carl says I pulled Corey left-handed the same day he pulls Scrazzy. That's a long day.
Oh, shit.
For Corey West.
Yeah, because Corey's pulling Scrazzy right-handed. Damn. Okay, what's your thoughts on that? When you have two super matches on the same day, one's with one arm and one's with the other. What are your thoughts on that?
You definitely lose something from the first match.
Okay. Because I don't know who's pulling who first.
Yeah.
Because last time Corey pulled two matches, they didn't work out for him. Remember that?
Yeah, I sure do.
And I was there in person when it happened. You know, Corey, you know, he put it, yeah, he's pulling Chafee, and match one didn't work out for him, but he was able to come back on the right hand, just, you know, go right through Wayne Withers 3-0. Same day, same competition, you know? So that's interesting. You know, I always thought, you know, do people lose anything off that? Because now if Ryan and I are pulling right-handed, you know, and I go down there and I try to drain him out, you know, okay, now I'm using this other right hand to hold on to the peg. Now I'm dealing with this. Does it have any kind of crossover effect? So I always wondered that. So yes, we got some big matches coming up. I'm excited for them. April 23rd is going to be a huge day. Don Underwood, Wayne Withers, that's a huge day.
Well, let's talk about Don Underwood here.
Okay, let's do that. You know what? I'm shocked. The man
is struggling a little bit. The man is struggling a little bit.
Who Don is?
Yeah.
I saw something though that I don't see normally. I saw his match one, the one he did win. Did you see how he won?
You know, that's the one match out of the whole card that I saw that I missed, was that first match that they had.
Don, we all know he's quick off the go, but he was quick like this. There's not too many times Don goes into a hook. And when he did that and he set up and all of a sudden it was just a quick bam, I'm thinking, okay, here we go. Because now at that point, you know, BJ's like, what the fuck? And Don's like, okay, he has the momentum. He's, you know, his Hollywood is coming out of his pores and everything, the persona. And I'm thinking, okay, he just beat BJ in a hook, flash pin. And yeah, he never actually top rolled. Yes, so there's still that. Only problem is that when he tried to top roll, it didn't work in his favor. And I was still waiting on Don to kind of make the adjustment, because match two, it was like, okay, BJ slipped, they get into the strap, you know, and then BJ kind of had that long lever, like we always talk about, and he just kind of went high and stuff, and then it just went like that, and Don just kind of just went like this, and he was never able to kind of readjust, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting, man. But I mean, Don Underwood at one point in his career was possibly the best right-handed arm wrestler in the whole North America.
I would agree.
I mean, at Arm Wars, the one they did in Vegas, I watched him hit Devin Larratt all over the table and somehow still lost that match. I didn't agree with that because there was fouls, there was other calls, like Devin was getting blasted all over the place. Don Underwood beat him at the Arnold's, beat me at the Arnold's. He was the man for a while.
Yeah.
And then something happened. Like he said, he needs to find that anger again.
Well, we're talking 2010 too, though, right?
Yeah, we are.
So we're talking 12 years ago. And, you know, 12 years in arm wrestling is like, fuck, almost a lifetime for some people. You know, it's like 6 months if someone were to take 6 months off in our sport, it's the equivalent of taking 6 years off because so much happens in a 6-month window. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
But I hope he does find that. And I'm glad he's taking these matches so we can really find something. Because I think with Wayne Withers, he doesn't want to top roll with him. Too long of an arm, too stiff of a wrist and hand. I hope Don finds a plan B.
Oh my God, I saw a flash on the screen. So let's see what happens here.
First of all, I really, really apologize, guys. Never been embarrassed so much.
No worries.
The whole system just gave up on me. Like, it wasn't just letting me start. YouTube was working fine. Everything was working fine on my laptop. But whenever I was opening Zoom, it was like, no, you do not have an internet connection.
But you're here now. That's all that matters. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, but I was listening to you all. Like, I got the full 30 minutes.
Oh, good.
So chime in, man. The floor is yours, Pradeep, because I know that you had lots to say about the Michael Todd match. There's some kind of rivalry there. Can you talk about that? Like, you guys got some heat.
Yeah, there was some heat. And I also mentioned that, like, maybe because I was biased, that is why I so quickly decided to put Michael Todd down in my prediction, like he's going to lose. Maybe it was because of my bias, and my strength always has been like unbiased nature. This is why some of the predictions have went well, because I'm not personally friends with any of the arm wrestlers. Like, I've not met anyone, so I can predict without even caring about hurting someone's feelings. So, like, talking about Michael Todd's match, why at least I, or maybe some other guys as well, were discrediting his left arm. There were three things mainly about that. First one is when Devon said that Michael Todd's left arm is a piece of trash. It is nothing. Number two was when Schoolboy was kind of manhandling Michael Todd on the practice table. Number three, when Devon was manhandling Michael Todd. And what is common with these two guys? They both are 6'5". So now I started wondering, maybe it is only against the taller guys that Michael Todd is having some kind of troubles. So I remember my prediction about your match as well, and I was forced to somewhat kind of reevaluate that. I'm not saying that I'm going to change my prediction, but again, like, somewhat, I'm not saying Michael is Jerry, but we saw in that Robbie Toppy match that 7 inches was not enough for Robbie Toppy. Like, his elbow was flying off the back of the pad. He was able to stop the hit before and that is one more confusion also, because almost in every league there is a rule that if you try to push your opponent off the back of the pad, it will result in a foul for you and not your opponent. So isn't a flop press when your elbow is kind of flying back of the pad, isn't it really pushing? I know there is some back pressure also involved from the guy who is having his elbow off the pad, but can it be classified? This would be my question to you guys. Can it be classified as pushing your opponent off the back of the pad? Because Jerry is also, I've heard some opponents, you face Jerry, and people say that, like, Jerry is not going sideways. He's straightforward coming towards you.
That's an interesting point, and that actually crossed my mind while we were watching the match, that could be a call, but it's a bit of a stretch because it's also part of his offense is hitting in that direction. I don't know if it's the intent to push up me off the back. What really determines whether it's a foul or not is if the intent is really clear just to give the guy a foul. And I think Michael's intent is to establish position and possibly flash pin his opponent with that move, not necessarily cause the elbow foul. And there is recourse. Like, there's stuff that Robbie could have done differently, like apply a whole lot more side pressure and also make sure that the shoulders were square before the start. Like, that was a big problem and a huge advantage to a guy that's coming in the way Michael was coming in.
Well, a couple of things. And Pradeep, what you mentioned about is your opponent if you're pushing your opponent off. The first thing that comes to mind is all those matches between Jerry and Travis, where Travis always came off elbow off the back, Jerry's elbow always came off the front, and so you couldn't tell who did what. Where in the match with Toppy and Michael Todd, Todd, I mean, just the way he's set up, what's coming. And here's Robbie kind of loading, what he's going to do. And I knew right there, it was, hey, it's a 2 + 2 is 4. Michael's coming like this because, and I'm going to sit here for a second. If Robbie's like that, there's a gap already. You cannot set up like this when Michael's left-handed, he's already coiled like that. There's no way you're going to stop that. If you do, he stops it over here. But by this point, his elbow's already off the pad on a 7x7, but he has his hand, but he already elbow fouled. So that was one of those situations where I think Robbie should attack rather than try to, bust his hand back later in the hit. That's just my opinion.
So I also mentioned the same thing when I uploaded a review about that event, that either Luke Polsher forgot that there is a shoulder square rule, or he was not interested in it, or maybe Michael Todd told him not to take care about the shoulders, because we saw Paul Lynn was also doing that. First round, Paul Lynn tried to go outside, he was climbing over the top of Ron's hand. When it didn't work, when he was going inside, he was basically like that, looking at the referee, and shoulders were that much coiled in. And Paul Lynn commented under that video. I just read that comment a few minutes ago. He said that Luke is a WAF certified referee, but they were using arm wars rules, which are kind of loser rules. They were using the same rules in the undercard as well, and I watched the entire undercard, and Luke corrected the shoulders at least 7-8 times during that undercard, I would say, but not even once did he touch the athlete's shoulders during the pay-per-view event, and they were clearly coiled in. Michael Todd was starting like that. So when referee was on Michael's side, Michael's arm was touching the referee's hands, so it was not possible to go more inside. But when it was on the other side, you could have just started in any position you want. So this is, some people like loose rules, but I am someone who is all for strict rules. Like, if you did something wrong, you deserve a foul. So I believe in that, and I was kind of little bit frustrated, I would say, looking at that. The refereeing should have been better in that match.
Well, I have a comment on that. And there's a couple of things. Like, as a referee, the shoulders is kind of the first thing you look at when you're setting up the match. And then as you're setting up the whole rest of the match, the shoulders deviate. And if you're not on the ball, that can become something that you miss. The other thing is, it's also on the opponent to make sure the referee is watching that. So all the guys I coach, when I see them go to the table and they start with an unfair grip to their detriment, I say, why aren't you talking to that referee? Why aren't you saying anything? And Robbie just didn't say a word throughout the whole setup, and he let Michael start in behind. And I don't know what the rationale is behind that, whether he's trying to just set up in a way where he has enough a different angle so he's not getting pushed straight off the back and can catch that hand a little bit, or what's going on. But when I pull him in Vegas, I'm going to be talking about shoulders from the time we are off the stage walking up to the table to that referee, because I don't want to have Michael getting behind getting his hand in front of his shoulder before the go at all. Like, that's not going to be a good move. And that's one of the reasons why Robbie was always on the defense, is because the start was just a little bit off.
Who's refereeing you guys this match, by the way?
I think it's Leonard. I think it's Leonard Harkless.
Okay. Because my thing as an athlete, we all know the two things we worry about is the shoulder, watch his shoulder, and then, hey, we probably focus more on the hand than the shoulder as an athlete. Because when I'm gripping up, I can tell if I'm like this, hey, I'm already at a disadvantage. I need my wrist straight like that. If I'm like that, then my opponent's already turning me in. And so I always make sure, if I can't see the back of my hand, then it's like, that's not good. Straighten like this, then, off the go, do what you want. But on the even Steven, square shoulders, wrist straight. This is what I want. You know what I mean? And we all know, as arm wrestlers, we were taught, take what you can get, let the referee sort it out. Like, if you want to start like that, let the referee straighten it out, because we all want some kind of advantage. But for me, I don't train that way. I don't let my guys train that way. And I think at sometimes, because we train so to the book, that there are times that we get in a competition and we get just a little bit like that, and we're at a disadvantage, and us not knowing that, because we're focused on other stuff, like making sure his shoulders are straight. Hey, I'm feeling so much side pressure, bring it back to the center. There's so much we as athletes have to do that sometimes the ref can't catch. How often, and this is a question for Ryan and Pradeep, how often do you see a person like this, hey, square your shoulders, and then you square them, and all of a sudden they kind of go right back to it? How often do we see that, right?
Always, almost always. Like I mentioned, similar event in one of Devon's matches, like Devon versus Jerry. Bartwood was trying to correct the shoulders. He was trying to square the shoulders, but whenever Bart was doing that, like Devon's shoulder, as soon as he let off the hand, immediately his shoulder was like that. Immediately. So it doesn't really work. And as a referee, I believe it kind of makes your responsibility to create that one first impression. If you surrender once to the athletes, you are always going to surrender to the athletes. It is never going to work. Like, what is your opinion, Ryan and Jody, about that? I truly believe that I'm going to repeat the question again. Like if you're a referee and you surrender once to the athletes during a match, like maybe Bartwood surrenders to Devon or some other Bill Collins surrenders to Devon. If you let them get away with something once, they are going to exploit that throughout the match, and there is nothing that you can do about that, because in their mind it is there that you let them do that for the first time, and now nothing is going to change. And we have seen that over and over again. Like the shoulders part, if you square Devon's shoulders, as soon as you leave your hand, it automatically goes back there.
Is that a psychological thing with a ref? Absolutely, probably. I think that being rigid rules plays into my favor against Michael, and it would play into my favor if I were to pull Devon. Like the whole system is set up so that you can hand out warnings and fouls whenever you're not getting your commands followed. So you kind of set the tone. If somebody is testing limits with the setup, then you have to set those limits again immediately. If you get away with something, you'll keep getting away with it. So if I were to, don't be surprised if you see me when I'm setting up with Michael, go to the referee's grip, and the first thing they set in that referee's grip is the shoulders. And if those shoulders deviate, it's a foul. That's just the way the rules are set up. So don't be shocked if you see every single match go to the ref's grip.
Well, I mean, here's another question. Do you think there's pressure on the referees? Because how oftentimes do we see these matches and, we as fans, hey, don't let the referees dictate the match. Let the pullers do that, which I agree to a certain degree. But if you're the referee, you got to have some kind of control. Say, look, you do it again, I'm going to foul you. Now, granted, as a spectator, as someone who orders a pay-per-view or who's watching these big giant events like the East versus West or what have you, king of the table, you want to make sure that no match ends all on fouls, right? We don't want to see that, But it begs to differ. Do the referees get pressure on them to make sure that, okay, I'm going to let that ride? Because I tell you right now, every referee in different organizations are different. One bunny hop, they're going to call a foul. Whereas some other referees, if you get a bunny hop, but yet you don't gain any positive position, they'll let that go. So it depends on a referee.
There's a big argument to that, though. And the little bunny hop, there's something to be said that every time you foul, you gain a little bit of an advantage. Some guy gains something. So I don't know about I hate that narrative that people paint saying, don't let the referee dictate the match, because without the rules, there's going to be chaos and something else is going to dictate the match that isn't necessarily within the rules of the sport. Like you don't see any other sport, saying, no, we don't want that. We can continue. However, I mean, I guess there's football where you can decline the foul, but
throw the red flag.
Yeah. But I mean, where else do you say, oh no, we as the competitors are overturning that referee's decision and we're going to let it play out?
And I think that if as a referee you are talking with the athletes, we have seen that referees are constantly arguing with the competitors during the match. No, it is a foul. Your elbow popped up. I saw it. If you have to talk to an athlete being a referee, I think you have already failed at your job.
I agree. So in WAL, It's different because that's part of the drama, right? Bart, like setting the limit and saying, no, this is how it's going to be because I'm the man. That's part of the whole drama of the TV show. But, when you go to like a world championship, sometimes you can't even talk to the referee because he doesn't know what the hell you're saying. He doesn't speak English. So you have to adapt to a different style and you just follow the rules and you do what you do. It's not which is a little bit more of a pure form of the sport, in my opinion. I like the rigid rules. I hate the amount of time it takes to set them up sometimes. So all that downtime is what we're trying to get rid of to make it more of a spectator-friendly sport.
Well, the rigid rules, it forces people to pull and control, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because, and like, don't get me wrong, I like running fouls from a spectator standpoint. If I get a foul, just keep it running. Okay, I foul, which means I know I have to win to get the restart. I'm okay with that. But I do know that if you go IFA or WAF rules, it makes that actual puller pull and control. You're not doing anything sloppy, because if you do, you're going to get dinged for it. So it kind of makes you pull and control. Yeah, it takes probably forever to do that. But yeah, I mean, it makes people, you know, makes them honest, I guess you could say, on the table.
Yeah. So we've kind of unpacked those matches a little bit already. Something else I wanted to touch on, Pradeep, you mentioned it in your video. And just before we do that, everyone should join Monster Michael Todd's channel and buy the pay-per-view one so they keep on going, because I thought the production in its most simple form was pretty good. The sound was good. We didn't crash the stream at all. It was there throughout the whole thing, the undercard and the main card. And the commentary was good. Just like everyone, it was enjoyable to watch without having to tune into someone else's commentary on the thing. So what did you guys think overall of the production of the whole thing?
Pradeep, you can go first.
Yeah, there was a reason why I gave it a 6 or 7 out of 6 or 7. I said both. So out of 10. And the reason was that, first of all, we arm wrestlers, I would say, kind of have very low expectations from the pay-per-views. We have already always seen the streams crash. So basically, if the stream is not crashing, we are happy guys about the stream. So I personally want that expectation standard to be a little bit up. And the video quality, if you compare it with the Hardanger Open that recently happened in Norway, or even Ryan Bowen's local pay-per-view that he just did at his house, and Kirsten's event, if you compare the video and audio quality, they were much better. You just cannot deny that. Watch Kirsten's event, it was free. The audio and video, both were really good. So if I am giving them a 9 out of 10, there is no way that this event gets 8 out of 10. So this is why I was saying 6 or 7. And one thing, that the microphones should have been closer. Like Michael and Rebecca were sitting very far off the microphone, so it was catching more sound when the crowd was shouting. So this is something that they need to keep in mind, because the range of microphone is very less. If you are very close to it, it is not going to catch the sound that is happening back there. And another thing would be, first of all, Don Underwood was really, really great at the microphone. I truly enjoyed his commentary. So these were the basic things why I said that. And one more thing, that the pay-per-view, they should have added one, or at least maybe 1 or 2 matches from the undercard to the pay-per-view. Like 3 matches were not enough. 5 would be a good number. And we saw that there were good matches at the undercard. The ladies match, right-handed Danielle, and I forgot the other girl's name. Those were really great matches. So they could have transferred 1 or 2 matches from the undercard to the main event. Matches were 3. This is another reason why it could have been better.
I agree with some your thoughts. I would think that it's your first ever production, your first ever pay-per-view. So of course, if you have another one, it's going to be things you're going to take from it, the way, hey, this worked good, let's go ahead and continue that, or hey, this wasn't good, maybe we can do a better job at that. I think the next time if they do have another one, I think there'll be more main events, matches on that card, along with the undercard. I think that will happen, but I think they want to just play it safe to see how it works out, because who knows, it might have been their only one. Then again, hey, we liked it, everybody liked it, we might do another one. I think as far as the commentary, like you said, Don was great. There's only a handful of people I can, on one hand, that can actually carry an event. And what I mean by carry is that what they're doing, play by play, it keeps everybody involved. The way Don breaks everything down, it keeps, even if you're a new person who doesn't know about arm wrestling, guys like Don Underwood, guys like Travis Bajan, when they carry an event on the MC with the mic, it keeps everybody engaged. And I think you need someone like that to help that. It's just going to make your pay-per-view that much more exciting. If you saw the live feed, you saw how many people, oh, Don was awesome. Don on the mic is the best thing. I'm telling you, because it's true. Because the knowledge of the sport and what they have, they can bring, and they can tell people, you know, hey, if Michael, you know, if he gets outside, he might not last, you know, or if Michael gets this, you know, quick shoulder in, it's all over, because he knows, right? He understands that. I don't know why I keep getting excited over the commercials they had, but it was pretty cool because you had the sponsors too. So that's always good. If Ryan Espy or Pradeep had a production, you want to make sure the sponsors get love too. You want to promote that as much as possible, which they did. So I think that's also a good thing also. But overall, I didn't give it a 1 through 10, but I thought it was real awesome. I liked it. I enjoyed it, you know.
It just as something I found interesting. That was like a helicopter rental company that was in the commercials.
Yeah.
And they killed the guy that hired them in one of the commercials.
It was weird. But it was funny though, you know.
It was funny, but it didn't make me want to hire them. They killed their client in the commercial. That's what I got out of it.
Yeah, I honestly, since you brought, I didn't look at it that way until you said something. So,
yeah,
I think about the pay-per-views. I think that if any promoter or any YouTuber is thinking that he's going to cover the entire event of the pay-per-view sales, then it is a big mistake. Like Michael Todd had the sponsors, the advertisements, and the pay-per-view sales as well, and yet I'm assuming he was almost able to cover the cost. He was not able to cover the cost, but he was near, including all of that. And if you're talking about only the pay-per-view events, and this was kind of a sad thing in my opinion, like I'm not going to take any names, but there are many pro arm wrestlers who did not buy the pay-per-view, Michael Todd's pay-per-view. Maybe you know who I'm talking about. So the pay-per-view event is good.
No, I
but you
don't.
Can only...
But I want you to drop the name.
No, I won't. So
you could tell us. You could tell us in private.
So I think it is good if you just want to cover the flights, the hotels, accommodations. But if you're inviting some athletes who are demanding $2,000 for a match, $1,500, $3,000 a match, it is never going to work. YouTube pay-per-views are not going to work that way unless you have a really, really famous athlete that drives 10,000 pay-per-view buys.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool feature though, and I like that people are doing it. I mean, he could have upped that price quite a bit and I still would have bought it. And I didn't cancel my pay-per-view membership after, because, you know, I don't mind supporting Michael's channel. I think he's doing good stuff, and I'll keep it rolling because I'm going to assume that there's going to be more to come down the line here.
So there are two more things. Yeah, Jody, two more things that I would like to add to the pay-per-view thing is that YouTube gives different prices depending on your purchase power parity. I think this is the term. So me sitting here in India, for me the pay-per-view was only just a little bit over $2.10, something like that. And for US guys it was $4, and there were some Europeans, for them it was $5.50 because their currency is valued higher. So it allows everyone to buy the pay-per-view depending on where you are living. Like nobody can say that I cannot afford it. There were so many comments from some developing or underdeveloped countries. They were saying that we cannot purchase the pay-per-view because we cannot afford it. So YouTube does that for you. It reduces the amount depending on your country. But then again, as an organizer, it becomes really difficult for you to calculate the amount that you're going to get, because you don't really know what YouTube is going to ask people from which country. So that makes it kind of difficult. Oh, and there was one more thing. Yeah, Jody, please go ahead. I'll try to remember what I was saying.
Well, I was going to say, do you think now, because now the big thing is pay-per-views now, do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing for the sport? Or is it just like the flavor of the month, and then by the end of the year, it might phase out? What's your thoughts on that?
Okay, I would say that in the beginning, it is going to be a good thing, but it can quickly turn into a bad thing when everyone starts thinking that they can also have a pay-per-view. Like this time is going to come in next 1 year, I would say. Everyone is going to think, yeah, my match should also be on pay-per-view. I invited Aussie arm wrestler on my channel, and he was saying that our match should also be on a pay-per-view. Like like Aussie arm wrestler versus me, left-handed match. So everyone soon is going to start thinking that their match should also be on a pay-per-view. And don't get me wrong, like if I'm on a match against him, I guarantee I can sell at least 300-400 pay-per-view sales for that match. I don't doubt that. But do we deserve to do that? The answer is clear no. So I think it is going to be a bad thing in about 1 year, because everyone is going to think that they should be on a pay-per-view event.
Well, everyone wants to jump the queue. So the UFC does this. They have their pay-per-view events and they have their televised events.
Yeah.
The best way to make sure that you are on a successful pay-per-view is by being on the main card of the televised event that's free and do extremely well and get people interested in you. But you're right. It's just like the super match thing. Everyone thinks they deserve a super match on this card or whatever. And some of them are right, but some of them are just not. And they need to cut their teeth going through tournaments and stuff. See, Pradeep, you are getting talked about in a super match because you are a recognizable personality within the sport of arm wrestling, which to my knowledge, you are the only guy that's ever done what you've done, to come in and, become a respected name in the sport without first being an arm wrestler. That's pretty amazing. I appreciate what you've done, but the pay-per-view thing, the problem is now the Michael Todd event is kind of what I expect if I'm paying for anything going forward. So anything less is going to disappoint me. But I mean, I watched that event on my big screen.
Uh-oh, he froze. He froze. Usually when this happens, I kind of carry it till he snaps back into it. He's kind of frozen. So my thing is this: when you have pay-per-views, I think at times it's good, but I think you're absolutely right where, well, hey, if they can do it, so can we. It's like, okay, well, there's so much money that goes into this stuff. Can you sustain from a long period? Because I know people who want to put these pay-per-views, but they don't have the sponsors. Okay, it may be a one and done thing, I don't know the next time Bajan and Paul Talia will put together another pay-per-view. I don't know. They did the one, but now are they going to do another one? We haven't heard anything since. So again, I don't think people realize how much money it takes out of you if you don't have sponsors.
And the thing about, if you're not having sponsors and you're relying only on pay-per-views, then the problem is in selecting the athletes.
Right.
I think Ryan is going to join. So the problem will be in selecting the athletes, because if you are only relying on pay-per-views, then you have to find a balance between who is a talented arm wrestler and the other guy who can bring in the numbers.
Right.
Like this guy who is really talented, but he has no social media presence, he is always going to be upset, because if you want the pay-per-views to cover your event, you are going to have to shift towards this guy who is really famous but not really a high level arm wrestler. So this is also going to be creating some problems in the future.
I think with this card that Michael Todd had, it was interesting because number one, you got Michael Todd who speaks for himself. You got, hey, welcome back, Ryan.
Welcome back.
I was still talking when you guys said he froze. I was like, oh no. I heard you say he froze and then it booted me out of here.
And then Robbie Topi, he's moving up because he was pulling Michael Todd. He has Paul Passmore next month. I'm pulling him in June, right? You got Ron Bath coming off one of the most amazing matches in the East vs. West, right? He's going against Paul Lynn, who in turn, like, okay, I got another crack at a legend. So there's a story behind that one, right? Then you got BJ Fakakis, a big guy out of Mississippi, going against the legend Don Underwood. You got two up-and-coming ladies, Danielle, and you got Leanne Wilson going at it. So I think it brought, eyes to it. So now every time you have an event or a pay-per-view, the pressure's on that person because now, okay, this was here. Now I got to have my next pay-per-view here. And after that, I got to have it up here. You got to keep raising that bar. You know what I mean?
So I would say, Ryan, my question to you would be the same question for Jody. Like, how are you going to find a balance between these two athletes when you're relying on pay-per-views? Like one athlete who's really talented and the other guy who can bring in the numbers. If you only have pay-per-views as a source of income to cover your event, you have to shift towards this guy because he is going to bring in the numbers and he is not, because he's really talented, and then he's going to get pissed off because you invited that guy and not him. And it is already kind of happening at some events. We have seen that. And this is why I say that we have to find a balance. Promoters have to find a balance between sponsors and pay-per-views, and more money should be coming from this part, from sponsors, because pay-per-view is still at the end of the day money coming from arm wrestling community only. We are the ones who are buying the pay-per-views. The more money comes from outside of the community, the better it is going for the arm wrestling community.
I think you're absolutely correct. There needs to be a balance. We've talked about this over the years. So way back in the Arm Crossfire day, we would talk about the celebrity matches coming into World Arm Wrestling League, and how much we either appreciated or did not appreciate that happening, but recognizing the fact that they brought so many eyeballs to the event. You've seen that happen with all of the King of the Table events. I personally really like Larry Wheels. I've met him. I've talked to him. He's a great guy. Is he an elite arm wrestler? Absolutely not. He just isn't. Does he bring hundreds of thousands of viewers? Absolutely he does. Larry Wheels has a massive following. Same with Juji Mufu. Okay? All these guys bring something to the table. And I think we need to recognize that they do bring those eyeballs, and that money comes to support and grow the sport. But you are correct. If we're ever going to move forward, we need to stop relying on arm wrestling. Has always done this. Arm wrestling has always relied on the arm wrestlers to support the event. Needs to change a little bit. So you're right, the big sponsors. But to get to the big sponsors, you got to have the numbers.
Yeah, but you got to be careful with the celebrity, because, and I'll bring up two examples. The two guys you brought up, Larry Wills, right? What he's doing, I like, because he's still staying with him. I mean, let's be honest. My fear is that if he goes into this next match against Khaled and loses, I'm concerned, because how often or how long is he going to stay in this? Because now he'll be 0 for 3, right? And I want him to stay because he is doing good things for our sport. Now, on the other coin, Juju Mufu, I mean, yeah, he got on WAL. And you guys already know how I feel about that. He kind of got in there where you got people busting their ass, knocking down the doors, trying to, be on that and actually earn their spot. And then Juju kind of leapfrog all those guys, got on WAL, and there was guys like, what the fuck? And then after that match with Mike Aiello, you really never heard from him again. So it was kind of like a flash in the pan. Hey, I did it. Okay, now I'm out now. He hasn't done anything in arm wrestling since, honestly, in my opinion, that was worth talking about. So sometimes you got to be careful about who you let in our community as far as star power, because then it's like, okay, that was good for that moment, but that was it.
Yeah. Hey, you guys, we've been on for an hour. Well, most of us have, but I'm cool continuing as long as you guys got time.
I got nothing but time.
Right on. Yeah. Anyway, continue, Jody or Pradeep. Comment on what
I wanted to read one comment from I think it was from Kenny Ferguson. He was saying about the pay-per-view. $4.99 is less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, which is true. But sometimes where we live, we kind of get surrounded in that area only. Like our thoughts kind of get limited. My question to Kenny would be, how many people have seen Starbucks in their life? I haven't. I don't know where it is. I've just heard its name. Like, if we count the number of people who have went to Starbucks, it would be less than 0.001% of the population of the world. 0.1% max. So we cannot compare it when people are saying, don't just eat dinner out for one day or you'll be able to buy many pay-per-views. This calculation doesn't really work for everyone. It may work in the United States and Canada, but definitely not for everyone.
It works in North America and Western Europe.
Well, if you want to talk about a numbers thing, and this goes back to what maybe this may or may not answer Kenny Ferguson's question, but how many other events were this past weekend? I think there was an event down in Florida because Travis was there, right? If that event never took place, would those eyes be on the Michael Todd pay-per-view, right? I mean, being honest. And I think, what was it called? The Hard Danger 2022?
Yeah.
That also took place this past weekend. If that event doesn't go on, are some of those eyes glued on to the Michael Todd pay-per-view? So you got to ask yourself a question. It goes back to, again, where, hey, Michael Todd had this event on his calendar for a while now, and people knew about it. But then, you get other people, I'm not going to say they're going to hijack events, but they just say, hey, let's have this event here. It is what like, for example, I know there might be another event on June 11th this year, but I already have mine a year in advance. It's going to go on no matter what. So it kind of begs to differ, how many events are going on at the same time? Are you going to get the same eyes? Who knows?
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, Michael strategically timed his event to be after the Hafthor and Eddie fight. And I know that for me, I'm not going to get away with watching arm wrestling 3 nights in a row. It's just not going to happen in my household, if you know what I'm saying. So I got to pick and choose which one I'm going to watch.
This is why I think our show works, Ryan, because everybody else is on in the evening. We're on in the morning. And you would think, hey, this works, right? It works because, I work swing shifts. I'm not even at work till 2:00 in the afternoon. So this works for me and it works for us. Whereas sometimes you got to fight with, we'll take Derek Smith. He's on, right, on one day. And then as soon as he's over, that's when Uncle John climbs in there, him and Evan Burgoyne. And, you got the fix with Neil Pickup and, these guys, they're all in the evening. And we do ours in the morning, which makes us a little different. But that's okay, though. It's all eyes on us. So,
yeah. Kenny, I think we get I think the point he's making is, different cost of living. Like, it's just like comparing housing.
Yep.
$5 means something to somebody where it might not mean something to someone else.
Right.
Yeah.
And now I've been getting asked this in the chat a lot, Pradeep. What's your prediction? And I will not have my feelings hurt.
Ryan is gone again. Oh, you're back.
Am I
Maybe
back?
I froze. Yes.
What is your prediction? Ryan Espy or Michael Todd?
So I wanted to ask you a few questions. How did your match against Jerry went? Like, did you complain about the shoulder squaring in that match? Do you remember?
Yeah, I did.
You did. And how tall is Robbie Toppy exactly?
He's about 6 foot, maybe 6'1".
6'1". So clearly you are around 6'4", I guess.
Yes.
So clearly the height advantage that we have seen in the past can work against Michael Todd. You have that advantage. Schoolboy and Devon have shown that height advantage, long forearm, can work against Michael Todd. But I saw against Jerry that you were also kind of having the same problem, even on a 9-inch pad, keeping your elbow on the pad and preventing it from sliding off the back of the pad.
Yeah.
So you think this can happen in your match?
No. It could, but my right and my left are not the same. They might as well be on 2 different people.
Right.
Both stylistically and like accolade wise, I guess you could say.
So I would say that going straight forward with a shoulder press against an opponent that is kind of lighter than you can be easy. But when you are doing that to a guy who weighs 380 pounds, that is so much mass to like straight dive into a shoulder press. So I think that the size difference is definitely going to matter. Like if you're top rolling someone, the size doesn't really matter. But if you're straight up going inside, I think at least you are maybe over 100 pounds heavier than Robbie Toppy. So this is also going to work for you stopping his press. And you're also faster than Robbie. I think you are fast for a super heavyweight. So combined all those factors, that you're bigger, you're slightly faster and stronger than Robbie Toppy, also taller, about 2-3 inches taller than him, I think it should be an easy win for you. 3-0.
I got a question for you both. And as you guys were talking, it made me think. When was the last time any of us saw Michael Todd in a strap match left-handed?
Well, we don't see Michael pull that left-handed all that much. So, it's been a long time. So when he hurt himself against Wagner, that was years ago. And we really didn't see any left-handed arm wrestling until recently.
We saw 2 rounds yesterday
Yeah.
inside the straps.
Yeah, but by that point it was, yeah. I mean, yeah, technically, yeah, but I mean, prior to that, I want to say the TAL 2 match, and he pulled Mark Gay out of Canada, and that was a left-handed match. I want to say match 2 or match 3 was in the strap, but I don't think Mark Gay is on the same level as Ryan or Robbie, in my opinion. But you know, it begs to differ. You know, it could be interesting if Michael does get it, because like I said, no disrespect to Robbie, but Robbie left-handed and Ryan Espy left-handed, total different, right? And it makes me wonder, you know, hey, what would happen if Ryan Espy and Michael Todd got into a strap match on the left side? What would happen? That is the question.
We'll find out. I'm sure at some point we'll end up in the straps, unless my opening move is good enough. So, Pradeep, I have another question for you. Seeing how we're making predictions. Robbie Topi versus Jody Williams. Who's going to win?
Let me take a sip of my Gatorade first before you answer that.
What date is the match?
June 11th.
So I'll be honest, Jody, I haven't watched many of your matches. Like I did watch your few of your matches in the past couple of months, I would say. But before that, I haven't really watched your matches. And like I would ask you personally, what is your biggest win, left or right-handed? Like the biggest name that you have defeated?
Wow. That's a good question. Wow. Because see, what I think might be a good name, maybe not a good name to you. So I guess when you ask that question, that's a real good. And this is, for me, this would be the biggest match of my entire career. This match coming up right here, because no one expects me to win, which is fine. I'm okay. And before you got on the show, Ryan and I were talking about that. I look at it like this. If I'm not the favorite, that's one less thing I have to worry about. There's no pressure on me. Not at all, because no one expects me to win. So now I can go in there and just let my hair down, the hair I don't have, but let my hair down and just focus on what I need to do. And like I said, today is March 21st, June 11th. I got nothing but time. So when I'm watching Michael Todd and Robbie Topi, I'm taking notes. When I'll be watching Paul Passmore, Robbie Topi, I'm taking notes. And by the way, he's also has one more match before ours. He's pulling Christian Benny left-handed at the Nevada States on May 22nd. And I'll be there in person for that. Once again, I'm taking notes. So I got nothing but time and watching him do what he does. And I'm sitting there going, okay, I collected all my information and now I got to get a game plan going. So that's me. But to answer your question, it's hard because who I think is good may differ from you. So
I think I have very limited data on this match to work on, but I'll definitely give a prediction. And my prediction will be 3-0 Robbie Topi, because with limited data, I would have to work with styles. Because we saw against, you're a top roller, right?
Yeah.
And Cody Merritt is also a heavily side pressure based top roller, and we saw that Robbie did well against a top roller but not so much against an inside puller. And you are a top roller. If he did well against Cody, I think he's for sure going to do well against you as well. And I have this one weird question, like what is going on here? Like Jody Williams one day is arm wrestling Jeff Frank and other day he's arm wrestling Cody Merritt. So what is the equation here?
For me, it's just challenging myself. I want to know, how do I?
Sorry, not Cody Merritt. I was talking about Robbie Topi.
Because I want to, see for myself, where do I stack up? Now, I'm not a household name by any means. I mean, they probably know me because of my nickname or because I'm the host of Arm Talk or I'm co-host of the Can-Am Connection. But, for me, it's just challenging myself. I'm not afraid to put myself out there, but at the same time, I'm not afraid to lose either. There's no shame in that, Hey, everyone takes a loss. That's one less thing I have to worry about too. I'm not afraid to lose. So I'll go in there. If I lose 3-0, I'll lose 3-0. I'll know what I did, go back to the drawing board. I lost because of, hey, not having a strong pronator, or hey, I got opened up too easy, or hey, I didn't have enough back pressure. I will revisit every single match I had in my losses and figure out why and fix that. So, but I'm quicker than Robbie. I will say that. Although the last time we pulled left-handed was that TAL event where he pulled Cody Merritt. I pulled him in the tournament. He had so much pronation, but it was like, okay, I made a wrong move. But since then I fixed that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like I said, Michael Todd, Paul Passmore, Christian Benny, and then me. I'm watching everything. Set up and all that. Watching it all.
And if you remember correctly, Robbie Topi was going on podcast in 2021 or late 2020, I believe, and he was saying that he has never lost a left-handed super match, if you guys remember correctly. And since then, he has lost 2 super matches, like I would say badly.
Well, like I said, but see, here's the thing about Robbie. I'm glad he's put himself out there because, usually, because his mannerism is just so respectful, quiet, kind of just views everything. And now he's putting himself out there, which I'm glad he's doing because I don't think Robbie's had these kind of high profile matches in 1 year, let alone month after month after month, right? So I'm glad he's putting himself out there. I am.
Guys, I hate to interrupt, but we got a super chat from Phil Woody, UK.
Yes.
I think that's 2 pounds that he's put in there. Jody on the rise, putting the work gets results.
Yes.
Agreed. Kenny Ferguson asks, Ryan, when can we have a super match? So I've been challenged a couple times on here in this chat. So we had Carl Stanley and we had Topi getting in here. So I think that's what Kenny's asking me about is when I'm going to pull Robbie. But I got a busy schedule coming up, you guys. April 9th, Michael Todd, May 21st, Corey West.
Ooh, there you go, Pradeep. How about that? Corey West and Ryan Espy. What do you got? Who do you got?
Left-handed, you were saying, right?
Yep.
23rd, April 23rd. I made a video about that. How can I forget that match?
May 21st.
Okay, May 21st.
Yeah.
April 23rd, Corey is going against Krasimir,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly.
And Carl Stanley, left-handed.
Right. So how do you fare against Dave Chaffee, Ryan? You're mute.
Yeah. Yelling at my dog. So I've pulled Dave Chaffee a few times left-handed. So normally I beat him. In the WAL final that wasn't really a WAL final, remember that one? 2017, I believe it was.
Yeah.
WAL rules. Is there such thing as a slip out in a losing position?
Are you asking us?
Yeah.
I think you had to pin a guy, honestly.
Correct. So when Dave Chaffee hit me and I missed the go and I stopped him, stopped him before.
Oh, no way. Did he freeze again?
Yep.
Well,
He
so
did.
getting back to what Ryan's saying, WAL rules, you have to actually pin a guy. It's kind of like Arm Wars. You slip and it's like, okay, you got to pin a guy, which that's what we want, I understand, sometimes it could be tricky when you parallel pin because now it's like, okay, what's going on? But you would think that you want to just pin a guy so there's I guess that what I'm trying to say is that you leave no doubt, Now with all the technology we have, where you got the head ref, but then because look at WAL, you got the head ref, right? Bart or Mike Fontenot, and then you got the 2 down refs off to the side so they're not in camera view. But you also got the cameras at the corners of the table to see everything. And you got to just pin a guy. You have to just pin a guy. And I'm wondering, I'm hoping, Corey's left wrist or left arm is healed 100%. Because I was there in person when he messed up his bicep against Dave Chaffee, and I was left-handed. However, that same event, he had a match with Wayne Withers and won 3-0 on the right. So Ryan and I were talking about that before you got on, what's your thoughts on having a person who has 2 different super matches? So if I'm Corey, I got Krasny on the right and I got Carl Stanley on the left, does it take any energy out of the other? What do you think? Oh, hey, Ryan. How you doing, guys? This is Ryan Espy, guys. He's the co-host of the show called The Can-Am Connection. We have our guest, Pradeep, and we got Ryan Espy on the show. Thanks for joining us, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks, man. 6 feet of snow starts to melt rapidly, so it goes from -20 to +10, and all of a sudden, all your internet has trouble. Anyway, the only time Chafee ever beat me was a slip out in a losing position after I had stopped him, and it was a UAWL tournament, so figure that one out.
I think there is a lot of data to work on this match to make a prediction. Right now, it will be too early. Like we have seen that Dave Chafee left-handed is not really a hook-based arm wrestler. Dave Chafee is a top roller left-handed, and he was. I know it was practice, but he was kind of struggling even against Toddzilla in a hook. He had to top roll Todd Hutchings, left-handed. I'm talking about, and Todd's left is not the strongest left arm in the world. I think we can agree on that. So Dave Chafee is a top roller left-handed, and there is Michael Todd who keeps on saying that Corey West is almost untop rollable. You cannot top roll Corey West, but we cannot really rely on that information because it is coming from Corey West's training partner, which is Michael Todd. And my question to Michael has always been like, name one arm wrestler except for Michael himself who Corey West has faced, who is a top 20 or maybe even top 30 top roller in the world. I'm not talking about arm wrestlers. I'm talking about a top 20 top roller in the world. Corey has not faced any of those top 20 top rollers. So how can Michael say that Corey West cannot be top rolled?
Are you talking about on the left hand or right hand?
Right hand I'm talking about. I'm assuming Corey West's both arms are on the same level. If there is one slightly weaker, it has to be left. This is what I'm assuming in this.
Well, we're going to find out
that's
next
a good
month,
assumption. I mean, he's got big matches coming up. I'm taking on his guy, his boss, Michael Todd. It's going to be a lot of things that happen in between those two matches. So we'll see.
I think it will not be possible for you to beat him if he like kind of stops your top roll, drags you in a hook. But is he top rollable left-handed? I think he is. Unlike Michael Todd, I think he can be top rolled. But it will be too early for me to make a prediction about this match. Yeah. I'll have to study more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when was the last time you saw Michael try to top roll somebody left-handed?
Me.
Never.
And that was just a practice, but that doesn't count, so it's all right. But yeah, I mean, I do feel that, you know, when Corey has these matches coming up, we're going to see after this, because after Corey and Krasimir, depending on which way it goes, it's going to be interesting to see how he fares from a world standpoint. Now, from a North America standpoint, now we're talking, okay, I got Carl Stanley, and once Carl Stanley's done, now I got Ryan Espy watching my match. I got a match with him in May, and it's like going, okay, this is where, and where is that match taking place again?
The Corey West one?
Yeah.
In Texas.
Okay. That's hard for me to predict because we won't know anything until after April 23rd.
Yeah.
I won't have any idea because when you froze up, I was talking to Pradeep and I was explaining to him the last time, you know, we saw Corey, you know, dual super matches. It worked out horrible on one arm, but it worked out perfect on the other. So a lot of it has to do with once April 23rd comes and goes, I think we'll have a better idea as far as predicting as far as Corey goes.
Yeah, I agree. Well, gents, is there anything else you want to cover before we get off the air here?
I'm just excited
subscribe,
for
yes.
to join us.
So subscribe. Yeah, do that. So if you look in the video description, we have both Jody's channel and we have Arm Wrestling News in the video description. So go and subscribe to both of those channels. Check them out. And yeah, guys, thanks for coming on, man. Pradeep, thanks for joining us.
One more thing.
One more thing.
I have to say this, Pradeep, because you don't have to be a arm wrestler to know what you're talking about. Okay. And I want everybody out there to understand this. And I'll use a basketball term. Stephen A. Smith never played 1 minute of NBA basketball, but he knows what he's talking about. So I just want to say, hey, for what you do, I appreciate that because it takes a lot of hard work for you to break down matches and have an opinion about that. You know, you don't have to be an arm wrestler to understand this, you know? And so I do appreciate your what you bring to the table. I value, you know, everything, your opinions and all that kind of stuff. I just want to get that out there.
Yeah, since thank you very much. And since Jody added one thing, I'd like to add two things right now.
Sure.
So first one is about the comments that you just said. I got a comment under my video today that why don't you train yourself to be a ref, and then we'll see how much you can do, how better of a ref you can be. When I said that Luke was not squaring the shoulders, which was a fact, you can go there and watch that video. I'm not a hater if I say that it was a fact. It is clear. We have evidence of that. And he was saying, why don't you become a ref yourself? So if we have some complaint with the governor, do we become a governor ourselves to complain about that? I don't think it should work like that. So I was saying to subscribe to your channel, Ryan. You should always say that. Like, I knew you're not going to say that. This is why I said. And we sometimes kind of get consumed in our own thoughts. Like, of course people know they are going to subscribe, but people don't. Like, I heard a lot of channels mentioning here in India that please press on the subscribe button. It is free. It is absolutely free. Almost everyone was saying that at a point of time. And I was like, are these guys stupid? Why do they need to mention that it is free? Like, everybody knows that. Then about 6-7 months ago, I saw a video on YouTube's own creator channel, where YouTube publishes its own videos teaching creators how they should work on YouTube. They mentioned when they did a survey, about 10 to 15% people thought that if they press on subscribe button, they are going to be charged for something. Like 10% people on YouTube do not know what a subscribe button means. And I sitting over there, I was thinking that those guys are stupid who are telling people that it is free. So, like, my message would be, do not get consumed in your own thoughts. Like, do not assume that people know everything. If there are 10% people who do not know what subscribe button means, there are a lot of things that we should elaborate every time we speak. And subscribing to the channel is definitely one of them.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you for that, because yeah, you're right. You assume that people know, and I guess sometimes they don't.
Yeah, you have a join button under your channel. If you ask people, I bet not more than 10% people know what that means.
It's right there. Look below the video screen. You can see it.
Check out 28 people here. Please check out what that join button means. Thank you for inviting me, guys. Thank you. It is a pleasure. The reason why I asked you to join this is because you guys are really well prepared, and that is something that I can relate to myself as well. I have to prepare the topics to speak on, and you guys are doing that. There is literally no one else who is doing that. Like, I always see that you guys have planned out the topics that you are going to talk on, and this is what really excited me to join the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks
for joining us.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, everybody. See you guys next Monday. Pradeep, thanks for coming on. Ryan, you and I will chat next week, and we'll have some more topics. So again, everybody,
We shall.
y'all enjoy your day.
Yeah.